Hey, welcome to episode 11, Whiskey Wanderlust, exploring the world with Japanese whiskey. I'm Ryan.
I'm Thee.
And I'm JoJo.
And we're joined by our special guest again, my wife, Eve.
Hey.
Thanks, Eve.
Welcome back, Eve.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
So, Thee, this is your show today.
That's right.
What's going on?
So today I'm going to be interviewing Ryan and Joe and Eve. We're going to discover some of your favorite trips around the world. I haven't been around the world, so that's why I'm going to take on that interviewer role this time. We're going to talk about your adventures you've had with your family, with your friends, whether there was whiskey involved or not. So looking forward to it, and I'm going to introduce you guys to some Japanese whiskey.
Whoop, whoop.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I've only had one before, so this will be a new experience.
Yeah, I've only tried it at Bourbon Fest before, so.
Yep.
So before we get into that, what have you been up to, Thee?
I've had a few things. Let's see, it's been a while since we recorded episode 10, so a couple of high-level ones. We had a family gathering last weekend. We call it Lester Fest. We get together with Sarah's family, and I think there was 27 people camping out in her aunt's backyard and hanging out in the house, and it was just a great time. We all went to the beach together. Just had a blast. I got to try my Uncle Rich's. He likes scotch, so I can't remember what kind he gave me, but it was pretty tasty. Another big thing, my little nephew Michael, who listens to our podcast, turned 13 last week.
Whoop, whoop.
He also learned how to fly an airplane. He took air pilot license
At 13?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a little
So he took that.
terrifying.
Yeah, no kidding.
Congratulations,
You can't
kiddo.
drive a car, but here's your license for your
I know.
plane.
My sister-in-law's family are pilots. So her dad was a pilot for Delta, and her brother is also a pilot for Delta.
Cool.
So it's kind of in their bloodline. So I'm looking forward to hearing about that. And also, fun fact, you know what Michael wanted for his birthday?
What?
Money to put towards a record player.
No way.
My 13-year-old nephew is collecting records, and I'm so geeked about
That's
that.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I went to D.C. for work this week. One of those turn and burns, nothing special. And then the last fun thing, have you guys had Korean barbecue?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, I tried it for the first time this week on Thursday. Went out. Holy cow, that's so much fun. You want to talk about an interactive dinner.
Really?
A lot of fun.
And the nice thing is, if you fuck up your dinner, it's your problem,
I
not
mean,
theirs.
You know, the scary part is if you waste food, they charge you extra for it, and it's already like buffet pricing for $30 for a meal, so can rack it up real fast, but you won't get your money's worth, Joe.
I will not.
I was going to say, probably not a good investment
Yeah,
for
don't
you.
go there, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Still lots of fun, though.
So what have you been up to, Joe?
Work, and more work. I went to the corporate office, and I was there for 2 weeks. And then, stayed the weekend and spent the 4th of July and with my partner, and she threw a party for her family, and it was really, really fun. We had a really great time. And then last week I was in Vancouver, Canada, working. And yeah, that's pretty much all I do.
Wow, that's exciting.
It is so exciting. That's
Vancouver's
my life.
pretty, though.
Huh?
Vancouver's pretty,
It's
though.
beautiful, but holy moly, is the traffic unreal. I stayed in downtown, which was really cool, but whoa. What about you, Rye? What you been up to?
Oh, I was trying to think through what all's happened in the last few weeks. Thea reminded me that we had our OSU scholarship golf outing here in West Michigan. Mm-hmm. That was a huge success, raised some money.
It's great.
Our whiskey basket was one of the highest
Highest grossing.
items
Wow.
in the silent auction.
That's awesome.
So that was kind of cool. And
Yeah.
that was the first bid that went in was like, I know I'm not going to get this, but that was what they went straight to.
That's awesome.
So that was cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then last weekend, well, we've had our 25th anniversary since then on July 3rd.
Congratulations.
And so going along with that, last weekend we went to Chicago and met up with Amy that I talked about in the last episode. And she was like, oh my gosh, they mentioned me. That was funny. So we went to a place called Slightly Toasted in Chicago, and they had the best bourbon selection that I may have seen. I mean, they had different years of George T. Stagg, different years of like everything that people wanted, and prices were not that bad. So
That's great.
I wanted a 2020 George T. Stagg because that was a COVID barrel, but they had just run out of that. So I had, I think, a 2022, an Old Fitz 10, picked Joe up a bottle of Old Fitz,
Yep, my favorite. Thank you.
went to a soccer game,
Oh,
and
you
then
didn't mention the
Concert?
no, the tasting, the flight that you had. My favorite part about that whole thing was the name of the flight.
Oh,
Oh, do tell Eve.
Yeah.
It was Show Me Your Privates.
love it.
And our waitress brought out 4 of their private selection picks and then told us a little about the whiskey and a little about the artwork that was on each of the labels. So,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It was
and
fun.
she also is an artist, and I got her contact information. We were talking about the podcast, and I said, if we decide to do any artwork or something we want to do for a shirt or whatever, I told her we'd reach out to her. I don't
That's
know
fantastic.
what it costs, but hey, it's a connection.
I like supporting people.
Yeah, me too.
So
Small businesses.
Well,
all
she
the
kept
way.
throwing that out there, and it's like we walked out, and I went back, and I said, hey, I did pick up on that, and I would be interested in talking to you about it and
I mean,
stuff.
as info, a lot of Lexus friends are artists too, so we could tap the little local resources here too. So,
Yep.
but
So-
yeah,
So then we did hit the Def Leppard Journey and Steve Miller Band concert
And the
while
soccer
we were
game.
there, and the soccer game.
I know. I was like, why didn't you guys record more video? I kept checking your postings, and I'm like, need more.
Well,
It looked fun.
the
Yeah, it
concert was a little bit of a mess because one, it was 90 some degrees
it was
and like
Satan's armpit in
90%
Chicago.
90% humidity. We're under the overhang at Wrigley Field, and then the sun starts to set, so you got the sun beating down
No.
and just sweating like crazy.
Yeah.
Well, on the way into the stadium, the night before they had tornadoes and it got a little crazy downtown, so they moved the concert up an hour and didn't tell us. Like, I never got a notice, nothing. So we walked in and Steve Miller Band was already wrapping up,
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
which was
Bummer.
fine. I mean, we heard 3 or 4 of his songs out in the parking lot coming in, so I was like, that's enough.
That's probably the only songs I knew were the one that he played last was the only one of his I knew, so it was fine.
Yeah. So anyways, that's pretty much what I can remember.
well, fun stuff though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing videos. I mean, it's always fun to see them and kind of live vicariously through you. So
Yeah.
Oh,
thank you.
thanks. So I'm getting thirsty.
Yeah. Let's start this off. So, for you guys today, in our first pour, I have a whiskey called Fuyu. It is a Japanese whiskey. And special story, Sarah, my partner, bought this bottle of whiskey to help celebrate and commemorate the start of our podcast months ago. So I'm excited to be able to finally get around to sharing it with you guys. So it is a small batch. What are you guys getting? What are you getting on the nose there?
Smells a lot like a scotch.
Yes, it
Rubbing
does.
Alcohol,
I'm
I
getting the-
smell rubbing alcohol.
I'm with Ryan at the Scotch.
Yeah.
Also,
The color on it is pretty light. I mean,
Very
it's
golden.
it's almost like a Chardonnay color, wine color, I think. But it smells. You do smell a little out of the ethanol or whatever smell.
it's a little bit musty. Like not in a bad way, not like Michigan basement musty, but
Ooh,
like wet straw or something.
it is straw. That's how I can describe Scotch. That's the
Yep.
unpeated stuff. But man, this is smooth.
It is very smooth.
It has a sweet start. You have the little Scotch taste,
Yeah.
straw.
Yeah. So keep in mind, Sarah's not a whiskey drinker at all. So she went out of her way while we were at Total Wine one day to talk to the, I'm not sure what their titles are at Total Wine, but the lady who's in charge of the whiskey aisle. And I think she's also got vodka, maybe, or rum, or she's got a couple of vials. And she recommended this. And then Sarah, thank God for computers in our pockets. She hurried up and double checked some reviews of other, folks' opinions and decided to pick this up for us. And It is pretty smooth.
It is. It's good.
Yeah.
So what are the notes that they say, since we're not allowed to see the episode
That's right.
notes
Well, let
right
me
now?
tell you. So it is a blended whiskey. The name Fuyu means winter in Japanese. It is from a company called BBC Spirits that is comprised of the whiskey is comprised of various malt and grain whiskeys that are sourced from distilleries throughout the Honshu Island in Japan. So Honshu is the main island in Japan, and 8 out of the 9 currently operating whiskey distilleries can be found there on that particular island. So BBC is actually a wine and spirits merchant based in Bordeaux, France. But this kind of goes to like that exploration of the world and how, here we are pretty American whiskey, like, or Irish whiskeys are completely Irish, but the Japanese, they kind of explore the world. But similar to Scotch or Irish, it might be aged for at least 3 years in oak barrels. So that's where you're getting, I think, some of that musty oakiness. All right, on the nose, caramel, vanilla, and honey to start. Plum wine,
I got the honey.
I got the
and-
plum
and
wine.
the
Yeah.
plum wine.
creamed wheat, lemon candies.
No.
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 I got the wheat.
So I thought it was funny. So, you go off the website and then sometimes you go off people's personal reviews. And I thought this one was funny. Somebody says, I'm getting all of these floral components. Unfortunately, I'm also getting a paint thinner and a nail polish remover.
Got it.
With
I
a
got that.
slight funk and a lightly peated element.
You sure that wasn't from Eve?
That's exactly how I would
I was going to say
describe
that. Yeah,
Yep.
good point. She
Yep.
probably wrote that review. Yeah, this is pretty good. I would definitely drink it again.
Yeah.
Good choice. Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, thanks.
Umami character. I mean, they were going lots. So let's see. It's a 40% ABV. Yeah.
Oh, I went down to the next one. I got to stay on the same page here.
Yep.
There are not as many notes on our show notes this
I
week.
know.
They're
It's because
not.
I'm in control. Are
Because
you
you're
ready for
sneaky.
this?
I don't
Are
know.
You ready
Are
for
we?
this? Okay. So, thanks for trying this Japanese whiskey. Thanks to Sarah for buying this for the podcast. Now we're ready to start talking about some travel experiences. Okay.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I'd like to know how many trips approximately outside of the U.S. have you been on? And were they all personal or were they business as well?
I don't know that I can count all of them.
Eve can. That's why we brought
Well,
her.
she hasn't been
Well,
with me in Mexico.
No.
Oh.
I've been down to Mexico for work probably 20 times.
Yeah, at least.
I mean,
Yeah.
there were a couple years I was down there like 15
15
weeks a year.
Oh, wow.
But outside of that, we've been to Mexico for vacation, Punta Cana, Panama, Jamaica,
Yep.
and then Spain, Italy, and
London. And I've been to Germany. I went in high school. So,
So a couple places.
Yeah, nice. How about you, Joe?
So, personal, I've been to. I started going to Cancun when I was a kid every year, with my family, and I don't even know how many times I went there. It was nuts. And my mother and I went to India and Nepal for a month, and it was absolutely incredible. I went to, like you, went to Europe when I was in high school. I went to 5 different countries. I know I'm missing something personal, but for work, I went to Europe. I've been to Mexico. I went to Dubai and Qatar.
Canada.
Canada. I think of Canada. Us,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I've done some worldly travel, but I would really, I miss doing, it's just different when you do it for work versus personal. It's nice. I did stuff when I was in Europe for work, but when you get to go personally, it's just more fun.
Yeah. Eve, have you been anywhere without Ryan or your family? Or
So my trip to Germany when I was in high school was just me. My mom had a foreign exchange student who was living back in Germany, and so I went and spent a month with her and her family, and that was really cool. Got to go to high school for a couple of days in Germany went to Berlin, where the young lady who was going to be our foreign exchange student was living, and got to meet her and her family. So yeah, and then I don't know. That's pretty much. The rest of it has always been with family or with Ryan.
Oh, sure.
For the
Well, you've
most
been married
part.
25 years.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It's like
bulk
half
your
my
life's
life.
been with this guy.
It doesn't stop me from going places without her.
Hey Eve, you went to Germany. I remember when I was 15. I remember they did this
Nude beach thing.
lemonade, Coke, and beer concoction. Do you remember that over there?
I do not. I used to love their Coke though, because they would do no ice, which makes me very happy, and then like lemon juice or lemonade, and I was like, this is the best thing ever. But yeah, I don't remember them mixing beer with it. The beer was just like, there were festivals, and the teenagers that were friends with the people I was staying with would take me out to these festivals, and it was beer all the time.
All the time. Yep.
When we were in Italy, we were there during when the Oktoberfest was going on over in Germany, and we were with my cousins Fred and Dawn, and we wanted to get on the train and go, but it just it was going to burn like 3 or 4 days of our trip just to go, and we had a lot to do when we were there. So
That's always the problem with travel. Like our upcoming trip it's going to be 10 days. It's not enough.
It's not.
Like I could spend a month, but I don't have that kind of time right now. So
Right.
yeah.
Oh,
So
retirement's on the horizon.
eventually.
Yep.
But you spent a month in Nepal.
In India, yeah.
What did you do? Where did I want to hear about this?
Right.
Oh, so my mother and I flew into New Delhi, and then we took a plane the next day up to Nepal. We went up into the mountains, Kathmandu. Nepal is very different. It's very smoggy. It's not clean, but it's beautiful because it's a Buddhist country. So there's lots of colors, lots of interesting things that happen. We saw a ceremony of someone who passed away, and how they put him on a river, set it on fire, just like in the movies, right? Just some of the things that they did there. The bells and just the flags, and it was beautiful. Then we flew back down to India, and we traveled all over India. We started in New Delhi and went as far south as Cochin or Kochi. And when we got to Kochi, that was our last stop. It felt like Florida. We were on a riverboat. We spent the night on it. But just some of the Taj Mahal, you see it pictures in books, and it does not do it justice. It takes your breath away. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. But different temples they're just gorgeous. And we went to a chic ceremony, so we had to put on like the headdress and take our shoes off, and we went in. It was just really, really cool. We had such a fun time.
how was the food?
It was really good, but
Spicy as hell.
it was. But my
good
mom
for
and I,
JoJo.
there was these beers that were probably about this big. Kingfisher. I fell in love. So I'd order my big Kingfisher, and I'd be drinking. But my mother, she's such a pill. So we went up into the Himalayas, and all of a sudden I turned my back, and I turned back around, and my mom had climbed up this like rickety old thing so she could get better pictures of the mountain. And I'm like, what are you doing? Get down. So then and then we were in India. I don't remember where. And I went to the restroom, came back, and my mom was gone. So I looked at the table. I'm like, do you know where my mom is? Oh, yeah, she went outside. I'm like, oh, dear Lord. So I walk outside. There she is with a snake guy, like a charmer. He's got the little pipe like you see in movies.
With a cobra?
Yes, and he's coming out of the basket. And
Oh,
here's
fuck
my mom
no.
holding this
Hell
big-ass snake. And I'm like, what are you doing? But the woman has no fear. None. I'm like, oh, my gosh, I had to wrangle her in.
Let's
So-
go, Susie.
But what
Not
a good
happening.
memory. That's one of my favorite trips.
So did you guys plan that trip, or was it like a tour that you did?
We did a tour, but so after my mom had her mastectomy, because we went for her year cancer, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, I'm sleeping in the hospital room with her, and this pillow hits me, and I jump out of bed, and I'm like, what's the matter? What's the matter? What's the matter? She's like, you know what, Joe? I was thinking, when I'm a when I'm a year cancer free, I want to go to India and Nepal. And I'm like, go to sleep, crazy. But I tell you what, we were planning that trip, and yep, we went. So we worked with the tour, and that was fun because we didn't know everything. So I'm really glad we did go with a tour, but it's safe. The hotels were unbelievable. My first hotel, I had a butler.
Did you have a
Wow.
toilet though, or was it
Yeah.
still the hole in the ground?
No, you have toilets.
How is India with their culture with women? Because you mentioned you went to Dubai, and I know that is like, a world tourist, so they do a little bit better with their culture.
Well, India was fine. Even in Dubai, I did bring a headdress just in case. But when I had to go to Qatar, I had to stop in Kuwait because they were fighting, so I couldn't take a direct flight in there. So I was in Kuwait, and all the women were fully, but I didn't wear one.
Fully headdress?
You're a rebel.
Without a cause.
Yeah.
It's me. But yeah, you're good in India.
How about you guys? What's one of the most what's one destination that exceeded your expectations? And it doesn't have to be the same one, so if one wants to go first.
I mean,
I had high expectations everywhere in Europe, and it all pretty much got met. I mean,
yeah. I think like my two favorites was on our trip to Italy, Florence.
Florence was awesome.
Amazing, and I could see myself living there. And then on our trip to Spain, Barcelona was my other favorite out of the cities that we visited.
The food was amazing.
The architecture is incredible.
Yeah. And Florence was so walkable. Like, we never got in a car the whole time we were there, and we walked the entire city.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more compressed. And
Yeah. That is the thing that I love about traveling in Europe and Chicago. It's like it's walkable, or you can use public transportation, but it's
Yeah.
easy to get around.
Yeah.
And there's so much to say. I love walking because, you come around a corner, and in Florence, there'd be a guy making shoes, a cobbler. Like, you don't see that, but he's got his little storefront, and he's sitting in the front window making his shoes. And then one time we came around a corner, and there was a huge marble statue that they had pulled off the cathedral, and they were replicating it. And so they're like taking measurements on this statue and then carving this piece of marble to make a duplicate so that they had one in case something happened.
Oh, wow.
And so we stood there and just watched through this plate glass window as they did that. It was super cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So we keep bringing up food. Is there any meal or any specific food or country that comes to mind that you continually go, oh, God, if I could have that, like, bowl of meatballs again, or whatever that is? Is there any food from your travels that you can't get out of your head?
one that sticks out in my mind was poutine in Spain.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's the world's oldest restaurant, still running.
Really?
And they did suckling pig, and that little beast was so beautiful and tasty. I mean, he didn't have to suffer too long. He was only, a foot and a half long, but damn, that was good.
The crispiest skin on any creature that I have ever eaten. It was like chips.
Is that like a
almost.
spit roast kind of a preparation, or?
It was a
They put it in an
fire?
oven,
Yeah,
like a fire roasted.
oven.
Okay.
Maybe we
it
could do it
was-
at Ben's next
But
time.
you got, yeah.
Yeah.
Challenge.
Where-
Challenge,
any
Benny.
call or any listeners know where I can get a suckling pig.
Oh, my
to,
gosh.
Bring to Ben.
We got to get to know the butchers in the area, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that dinner was good because it was each person got half a bottle of wine, and we had Eli and his friend Spencer with us who didn't drink wine.
Yeah, they didn't like wine.
So I had 2 bottles to finish, and then
Poor babies.
they had like a soup. You had a soup, a salad,
Mm-hmm.
the pig,
Pig.
and then some kind of veg. I don't remember what the veg was.
Either. The
But
pig was good.
That was freaking.
And then dessert too, if I remember.
oh yeah,
correctly.
dessert.
I mean, we've eaten some really great meals abroad, but I think some of my favorites are the ones that you stumble into.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Especially in like Spain
yeah,
and Italy.
yeah. Well,
Mom
I mean,
and pop places that are.
Spain, the tapas, patatas bravas was like my thing. That and pan con tomate, which is just bread with tomatoes on it.
Smeared on it.
It's so good.
Oh, wow.
We should have that for dinner tonight because it's so good.
We can search for it.
But yeah, and so we would every tapas place we would stop at I would order pan con tomate and patatas bravas, and then we would just compare them. But yeah, that was my favorite food, and I would definitely go back for that.
That's cool.
What about you?
You know, there's a lot, but I really loved the food in India. I loved it. It was a little different as you moved from city to city as you're making your way down, but I can't even pick one thing. It was just so good. Everything I had was so good. So I don't know. Everything about that trip was magical.
Was there something that you ordered over and over, or were you just like blindly pointing to things on the menu?
Yeah, pretty much blindly pointing to things because I wanted to try as much as I could.
Yeah.
But they eat a lot of vegetarian stuff.
So
right?
it was my mom's jam for sure.
Yeah, you weren't getting steak,
No,
beef.
no.
That feels like part of the mystery of traveling, right? Like you can sort of leave the United States with an idea of what you might come across, but really isn't half the fun like just trying something new.
Mm-hmm. It
you
is.
know? I love
It is.
that.
When we were in London, I think we had one we had fish and chips because of course you have fish and chips in London,
Mhm.
and then we had a meat pie when we were at Hever Castle.
Ooh.
And then the rest of the time we had the most amazing ethnic food. We did Cuban one night. We did Indian. We did German.
But the most bizarre food we had in London was this place we went to. Was it before we went to Book of Mormon?
That was Gordon Ramsay's.
Oh, yeah. We did that for Zoe's birthday.
Yeah.
We went to this other pub, and we got in, and they're like, you only have an hour to eat.
Oh, yeah. That was when
And-
we were, Zoe and I swam at the Olympic pool where Michael Phelps had been when he was in
Oh.
London. And then you guys climbed up the
Olympic Tower.
the Olympic Tower where the flame had been. And then we were like, we're hungry. So we stop in and they said, do you have a reservation? We're like, no. So he says, well, I can give you a table, but you have to be done in an hour and a half. And I was like, we can be out in 45 minutes if you bring us the food. So
But I had kangaroo burger, camel burger, and wild boar, I think were the three.
yep, it was a slider flight.
It
on
was different.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd do the kangaroo or camel again.
Okay, I was gonna.
The wild boar was good. It was just a different flavor and
Was it gamey?
texture. It was a little gamey,
Yeah.
but not like a game that I'm familiar with.
Yeah. The most I've explored as far as burgers go is like buffalo.
Yeah.
I've had that before.
Well, that's good. I mean, you
Yeah.
can barely tell a difference
Yeah.
between those and
exactly.
burger.
Huh. That's interesting. So
What about you, though, Thee? Have you had any, and even in your travels in the U.S., have you had any restaurants that you were like, damn, I have to go back there again?
my brother always takes me on adventures. And so, it goes from tourist type things where you're visually looking at places. So when I was in Charleston, he took me to like downtown Charleston. And then when we were in Atlanta, of course, I got some amazing barbecue down there. Amazing. So my brother-in-law Tim lives down there, and he constantly talking about the good food they have in the South, and that's no joke. And that's something we should be, proud of, that we actually have that kind of cuisine
Right.
to rely on. And I'm grateful for these restaurants that keep opening up with like a southern cuisine around here in Michigan. That's one thing for me that was memorable.
Hey,
Is it time? Wow. It's
That
time
was
for
kinda weak,
reach around.
wasn't
Is it reach around time?
It
It
is
is reach around time.
Hey everyone, it's time for the reach around.
All right.
so pass those around, Eve. You're
Yeah.
the special reach around guest today.
Thank you so much,
Great.
Eve.
What is this, water?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? What's your first impression based on that?
It looks like I have had a lot of water and went to the restroom.
It does. This is more Chardonnay than the last one.
Interesting.
Like this
right?
is an
Very
unoaked Chardonnay.
golden.
It's stronger smell though.
It's even lighter than a beer, I
Huh?
think.
Oh, there's something in there. What is that
I
I'm
told you.
smelling?
That
The
is
smell?
that I smell floral.
Isn't that interesting?
See, now I think I smell Sharpie.
Love
So,
you.
little background. This is called Baller American Single Malt Whiskey. So, look, you guys saw the bottle over there on the counter,
Yep.
kind of looking like Japanese artwork and everything. And so, I'll admit, I kind of fell for it when I was trying to pair up another Japanese whiskey. But my friend Amanda brought this to me at my grad party a month ago or so, and she was at Rishi's asking them for recommendations because, again, she doesn't drink whiskey. And this they pulled down. And so I brought it to you guys because just on the visual, like any person would think this is a Japanese whiskey. But let me tell you, it's not. So let's talk about what you're experiencing on this reach around. And then I'll read to you about where this one came from.
So when I swirl it under the Sharpie, I am smelling green apple.
Ooh.
Like really green.
I was definitely getting fruit when we opened this bottle and poured our glasses.
I'm getting that smell from the AI. That smoky peat flavor or smell.
Interesting.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I can't put my finger on it, but it's got this weird, like, at the back of your throat. What is that? Like you swell. I don't know.
It does have
It's like
that.
almost like a
pear.
burnt.
It's smoky.
It does
It
have
is.
that smoky.
It's like a Islay or Islay scotch with the peat.
There's something else that my tongue is trying because there's a little bit of sour behind the smoky, and I'm trying to figure out what it is that it reminds me of.
Okay, I made the face that time.
Oh, that is the first time ever.
Thank God we have the camera working. At least we hope we do.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, let me tell you about this. Okay. So
Okay.
thank you for experiencing. I'm pretty sure you guys are not going to let me choose whiskeys anymore based on the AI whiskey in this one too. But so this is actually from St. George's Spirits in California. It is American made, but it is Japanese whiskey inspired. It is wholly original. Crisp malt, delicate maple charcoal smoke, and tropical sherry-like notes imparted by a house-made umishu finishing casks. What is umishu? It is plum alcohol.
Ah,
So
So,
you get the fruity.
yeah,
sweeter.
yep. So another way to say it, they said it's a pot distilled single malt aged in ex-bourbon barrels and French oak wine casks, filtered through maple charcoal, and then finished in the casks that held a house-made Japanese plum liqueur.
I get the plum on the taste.
This reminds me of that stuff I had at Butcher's Union that Tyler got me, and he says, "Oh, this was one of my favorite. That Yippee Ki-Yay or
Smoke
something."
and Joe or
Oh,
something.
Smoke
yeah,
and Joe.
yeah. I remember that.
And then we had it, and he's
Yep.
like, "Oh, this is not the same
Yeah,
bottle that
I
I
was
had
at- we
last
were there
time."
with you.
Yeah.
That night, yep. And he's like, what? So, back to kind of what you guys are kicking on this. This is a California take on a Japanese spin on a Scotch whiskey. And that's what they call it. Right.
They tried
Like
too many.
worldly.
Too
Exactly.
many
So
things.
it fits so perfect for this. So, you gotta try, you gotta have some not so favorite ones, but
But I appreciate it though.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
I
we
like
do.
trying stuff, and then I know what not to buy in the
I-
future.
I mean, don't fall for a beautiful bottle just because
It
it's
is
got
gorgeous.
a pretty picture on
It's
it.
gorgeous.
Kind of goes back to that whole marketing, like the what's the one with the horses on it?
Blanton's.
Sometimes that's
Blanton's.
not so great.
Well, it's good.
It's good, but is it worth the hunt?
But
and
you
the
know-
craziness for it.
This isn't our cup of tea, but the people that like a Scotch that's peated
Yeah.
and smoky,
Yeah.
I think this would be
Their jam.
totally their jam.
It's
I've just been drinking so much bourbon lately that it's
Oh yeah, I took you off the bourbon, I just thought it was really fun to explore something new, and I didn't know until we just tried it what it would taste like. But I thought reading these notes, I'm like, I cannot let them see what these notes. That's why I had to hide them from you.
It's not horrible. It's not my favorite, but it's, to Ryan's point, someone else that likes the peaty Scotch smoke.
yeah.
When you put a cube in it, the smoke goes away. Did you notice that? Because you iced it. I thought. I didn't taste it on the back end.
It does take it down.
It does.
I mean, you still get the full flavor, but you don't get the smoke
Like
bite on the back.
Yep, riding in your back of your throat. But it's good, and we appreciate you.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
Amanda, like
Yeah.
helping
Yeah,
us
thanks,
explore
Amanda.
something,
Yeah, way to go, Amanda.
exploring something a little non-traditional for us, and so fitting, right? Like American-made, Japanese take on Scotch. Like,
Yeah.
talk about hitting some points in the world.
A lot
Yeah.
of fusion.
Yeah.
It was good. Nice pickup, man.
I tasted a little AI in there too, though.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I would definitely drink this one over the.
AI.
AI.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So, coming back to our talk about travel, I'd like to think a little bit more into the future, and I can join you in this conversation a little bit more too. But what's one or two places you haven't been to yet, but is high on your travel bucket list? And why do you want to go there?
We'll let Joe go first.
For me, I've always wanted to go to Egypt. I've always had this thing about the pyramids. I would love, love, love to go there. I'm so torn with two because I really want to go somewhere warm. There's a lot on my list. I would really, no, I wouldn't go there now. But I really wanted to go to Israel. But I would really like to go somewhere like, I don't know, Bora Bora or somewhere like warm and just
Where your house is
On the
literally
water?
on the water.
Mhm.
I see those resorts and I'm like, holy crap.
I-
I would go nuts because the beauty lasts for me for about 20 minutes.
oh no,
And then I got to have some action.
oh no,
And I don't think there's enough action
there's
sitting
not.
on
But
a house on the
Ugh.
water like
Just
that.
What's
relax.
your action? Clarify. Like
Well,
people,
I mean,
like
action.
concerts, like
He needs people.
I need people.
People.
I need socialization. I need tranquility is good in small doses, but
Like
I'm
5
not
minutes, small doses. Like when we go on vacation, especially to the resorts, I spend the entire day sitting in the shade reading, and I am in my happy place.
Yeah.
It's so great. And he gets real annoyed after about 10 minutes, and then goes and makes friends at the pool or the pool bar, or he's practicing his Spanish with the concierge or whatever. Sometimes he'll just disappear. I don't know where he went. It's fine. He'll be back.
I don't know. Sometimes you just need to relax, unplug, and just be.
And I get that. I mean, that's me relaxing though, is socializing, chilling,
Yeah.
not working.
When he's here, getting up at 7 a.m. is like the hardest thing ever. But when we're on vacation, he is up and wide awake and ready to go at 6 a.m.
no.
Oh yeah, it's bad. It's real bad.
But I
true,
mean,
but true.
but he's happy,
He
right?
is.
He's waking up and he's like, I'm in my happy place. So
Yeah.
you have that certain kind of energy, like where if you like your work, you could wake up that way, but
Well, and we figured it out. Like he gets up and he goes and does his thing and gets coffee, and then he comes back with a tea for me. So I wake up with a hot tea in the room, and I get myself out
Tea
of bed
bag.
around 8 or 9.
You're so stupid.
I feel like I'd be probably somewhere in between the two of you, probably actually leaning more towards Eve's
There's not
idea
enough
of a
room for
vacation.
She missed it.
I didn't.
She was just
I'm
ignoring you, as
I'm
we all do.
quietly blushing over here. No, I my idea of a vacation would involve relaxing, but if I were to go to another country,
Oh, we get more steps in other countries
Absolutely.
than we do here.
and I think being that I'm not a well-traversed world traveler, like mine is going to be, like Eve said earlier, 10 days is not going to be enough. Like that's probably what my vacation will feel like, unless I pick something like Joe's saying, where you're very intentionally going and you're on a resort on that water, and that is the mindset. So it's like, for me, I'd really have to figure that out. But my ultimate goal is to get to Italy.
Mhm.
I love that you said Florence is someplace that you
It's
could,
fantastic.
right?
Yeah.
It's
But-
so beautiful.
Yeah, so the one destination I haven't been that I want to go in Italy is Benevento, only because that's where my family's from, my dad's side.
All right.
And then that was his mom, and then his dad was from Syria, which I would love to go, but probably wouldn't come back alive. So that's probably never happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lebanon, Syria, The borders kind of have shifted over the years, but Damascus is where they were from.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah. I would like to go to Greece. When the kids were little, I was searching on Google for the East Grand Rapids wealthy pool, and when I typed in wealthy pool, what came up was a 4-bedroom villa on the island of Hydra.
Oh.
There's no cars. You take a ferry from Athens.
Red goats.
Donkeys. You
Oh,
ride donkeys.
donkeys?
Yes, they transport all your stuff up these hills,
goats.
and they're all up. Everything's and it had like a pool and 4 bedrooms, and I was like, we could get 3 other couples, and we could go and we could just stay there.
It was
for a week.
$1,200 for the week
Yeah,
back then.
yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, we could actually afford this
Right.
because the kids were tiny and we did not have any money. So,
How cool.
so I would like to go to Greece. That's on our bucket
Yeah.
list. And honestly, I would literally go anywhere. You tell me, hey, we're going to wherever. You want to come? Yup, I'm there.
You know, I was heartbroken for Lex because in 2020, when COVID set in, Lex was supposed to go on that school trip and was supposed to go to Greece, and had this just amazing. I was so happy for Lex, just this whole trip planned, and then we had to ride the wave of, are we canceling? Are we not canceling? Will we refund your money? Yeah, bitches, you will refund my money if you're not taking
Yeah,
me
no
over there.
shit.
I mean, my kid over there. Oh, I was ready to fight
We
on
were
that
gonna
one, but I was
do-
more brokenhearted for the kid.
So they were setting that when they were setting those trips up before COVID. They had pulled in Cuba is where we were going to go, and I was like, I'm in on that one because
Yeah.
that's like a once in a lifetime chance to do something.
100%.
Yeah,
You
'cause
know,
it was
and
that like
you
year
don't
and
know
a half
how
it was
long-
open.
Guided with people.
Yeah,
Kind
and
of a
then
safe
after the
environment.
election, then government shut that down.
Yeah.
and it was like, okay, so I guess we're not going to Cuba. So she went to Spain that year,
Yeah.
and
She went in 2021.
She went in 2019.
Oh, she went before
19.
Lex was
Yeah.
going. Okay.
yeah,
and she
so she-
loved it.
Yeah.
And she went to Portugal with some family friends.
Very cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
the
I
kids
was
travel.
on my way back from DC, and I got to the airport, and I was sitting having a beer with. Turns out, you know, she's drinking an IPA, and she's like, "Are you a West Michigan girl too?" And so, you know, we start talking about beer a little bit, and she's a nice young lady, probably in her early mid-20s, from East Grand Rapids, and she was telling me about her adventures. She's currently working for a human trafficking organization in Washington D.C.
Nice.
Yeah, really cool. After following school, that she's got this awesome career. But before she started her career, she took a year and she lived in Hungary.
Oh.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't have anything, and I was like, Hungary, and she's like, it's beautiful. She's like, I highly recommend a visit there. And I'm like, there's so many like points in the world that are not even on my radar. And that's the fun in like meeting people who can make those recommendations versus sitting on the internet or asking ChatGPT, where should I go on vacation, right? Like,
we're going to be in Hungary for 3 days, 2 nights.
Yep.
In Budapest.
part of this trip you're going on?
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
that's so cool.
I know.
I can't wait to hear about it.
I still want to go to Croatia, and I want to go to Prague in the Czech Republic because I
Yep.
hear that's gorgeous. That's
Yep.
also on my list.
Me too.
All right, I got a circle to whiskey. Have any of you had any amazing whiskeys in another country? And it's okay if you haven't. I'm just curious because
You're going to be surprised when I tell you this. Probably not, because it's not that important. But outside of the U.S., like when we were in Spain, Italy,
you don't drink
Dominican
whiskey.
Republic, Jim Beam and Jack Daniels are like the only 2 whiskeys that you can find.
Yeah.
Really?
American whiskeys,
True.
for the most part. So
And you're scared to try the local whiskey?
There just wasn't.
there
that
wasn't
much.
any.
Oh,
I mean, they
okay.
do
Nope.
a lot of like Scotch and Buchanan's and like stuff
Well,
from.
They cater to the British travelers too, for
Right.
sure.
So I
Yeah.
suppose if you went to Ireland, like you were going to go to Ireland this spring, right, Joe? So you would have had access to Irish whiskey,
Yep.
and you probably would have encountered that more. That makes sense. That makes sense.
It's just it was fascinating to me because it's like I see people on the bourbon groups come back and I got a Blanton's Gold, I got a like all these rare American bourbons. I'm like, how the hell are you getting these? Because everywhere I go, it's Jim Beam, Jack Daniels, and I didn't know Jim Beam's like the top selling whiskey or bourbon
Like worldwide.
worldwide.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because it's cheap.
I remember coming across that. Yeah. and it's not.
And it grows
It's
on
not
you if that's all
horrible.
you've got to drink.
But everybody
I mean,
throws it in some Coke or ginger
Yeah.
ale or something like that.
Yeah, I don't do
It's
that.
just the. I don't know. I think that's what they do. They don't sip it and enjoy it.
I tend to find myself drinking more local stuff. Like when we're in Spain, we drink a lot of sangria.
Oh, yeah.
That was like, and wine, because I like Spanish Rioja
Yeah.
wines.
Yeah.
In Italy, it was just an $8 bottle of
House whatever.
house whatever that was better than any shit I've had here.
Oh, I bet.
So good.
That's
And it was
where
all
wine
locally-
should be amazing.
Yeah.
In England, it was beer.
Yep.
Did a lot of beer in England.
Yeah.
Pilsners, lagers.
Joe, you mentioned what kind of beer did you say was your like jam?
Kingfisher.
Kingfisher. Is that that's a
I have no idea.
British beer, isn't
But
it?
Kingfisher was all over India.
Which wouldn't surprise me. Isn't India tightly?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that wouldn't
former
surprise me.
colony.
I love it.
What other beverages of choice? We'll change it from whiskey to beverages of choice. Have you encountered, Joe?
You know what? I'm kind of like them. Wherever I'm at is kind of the culture, and I stick to that. Whether it's they're wine heavy, I do a lot of beer, because a lot of the countries I go to are beer. I mean, when you're in Mexico, you do all those foo drinks, and you try all the different ones that they make, and they're just fun.
But that's a resort.
That
thing.
is a resort thing, and it's
You
just
don't
fun.
find those at the
No.
local restaurants. And
No, when you go local, I mean, in Mexico, when you go local, I drink a lot of beer.
Yeah.
I drink Mexican
Modelo
beer.
or Tecate Light
Yep.
are the two.
Negra, Modelo. Yeah.
Very cool.
Cheladas. I
Yeah.
like cheladas, which is just lime juice, beer, and salted.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
We
micheladas has the clamato juice in it.
Ugh,
Yep.
so gross.
Yep.
Oh, it's
I'm,
so
I'm
good.
with Eve. Nope.
What don't you like?
The clamato juice.
Oh yeah.
I like tomatoes, ick. And then you add clam juice.
You just got done saying you like tomato spread on bread.
I do. I don't like tomato juice.
And she
Oh,
likes
okay,
clams.
okay,
She
clarify.
just
I do like
doesn't like
clams.
tomato juice and clams
No,
together.
It's just
I-
gross.
Oh man, I like the Bud Light Chelada drink. Like you can get it in a big 40
Nope.
can or
Oh,
whatever.
I got to make you a fresh one. I
All
mean,
right.
like, they're so much better. Those are
Oh, I believe it.
The lime's
It
no
usually
good.
is better when it's fresher. All right.
our next Escada party. We'll do some homemade
Cheladas.
cheladas and micheladas.
Sounds good. That sounds like it would fit.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bring the whatever you need ingredients and I'll help mix. I'm
Cool.
pretty good at that. You just have to tell me what to do.
Oh, I'm good at telling people what to do.
No shit. So, got another question for you guys. Do you guys collect souvenirs? Is there anything that you are attracted to on your travels that you
Oh, there's-
intentionally look for or
Yes.
stop
Oh,
it?
you're talking about collectibles?
Well, yes.
We bring magnets back
Mm-hmm.
for the fridge.
Yep.
And then we were taking pictures, like trying to find a good scenic picture. And then we have a travel wall up in our bedroom
Oh, nice.
that has.
I print out 8.5 by 11s of my favorite shot from each city or country that we've been to. I'm a little behind.
We're
I haven't
about
done
8
Italy
trips
or
behind.
Spain
Oh,
or
no.
yeah, but yeah,
Well,
that's
swim
fun.
season is not for a couple more months, so you better get it.
I know. I need to get on that.
You know, for me, I don't have anything specific. I really look at kind of something that pops up at me, and then I might pick it up. There's not anything I go to with I want to do this. I mean, remember your party that we had to break something and then we put it on
Yeah.
that crate?
Yeah.
That was something that I painted as a kid in Cancun, and I broke it so I could put it on there, and it was pretty cool. I mean, when I go over there, I see all the different colors. So, I mean, it just depends on what I do and what I see, and I'll bring it back just for the memory.
Cool. Yeah, Joe's talking. We had a dinner party 2 years ago now.
Mhm.
I think.
Do you remember that one, Eve?
No.
I don't either.
Stop it. So Sarah got this. Do you guys remember those? It's either from the 70s or the 80s where it was like a coffee table with like a big cement cat underneath of like a glass top.
Okay, sure.
No.
So if you saw it, you'd be like, "Oh, I know what she's talking about." So Sarah picked up the cement cat on the side of the road, and this thing's like 2 foot long, and she came up with this art project, and then we invited everybody over and asked everybody to bring a breakable item, whether it's something just from their cupboard or something that was maybe part of a therapy if breaking it would feel good. We made everybody aware you have to break it. And so we set up this like cardboard box and this other table, and we put that cat up there, and we got a bunch of cement, and everybody broke little pieces of glass and ceramic pieces, and then everybody cement glued. So there's like 10 different people's stories and people's kind of like this eclectic artwork, and it's now sitting in front of our house in the landscaping, and then she resined over the top of it. We also filled it in with like, the spots with like glass beads and mirrors and stuff like that. So
Cool.
Super cool.
yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it was fun, and I don't remember exactly. Oh, I put I found a little teacup with Holland, Michigan, and a lighthouse on it, and I broke the Holland because that's where I'm from.
Mhm.
So there's a little piece of a Holland, Michigan lighthouse on there that's me.
Cool.
So that was fun. It's kind of fun to eat, drink, and do art projects together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was fun. It was good. It's every time you go in your house, you see that memory and it brings you back. It's pretty cool.
So one last question. I'm not sure where we're at for time, but we're good. So any super funny something that happened, whether you were like home alone traveling through the airport and realized you forgot your kid, or you were in the hotel like National Lampoon's. Yeah, I'm going there. Anything, because you guys traveled with kids. You traveled with your mom. I mean, you kind of covered where you kept losing your mom and she's out there dancing with snakes. So
Yeah, we lost our kid at SeaWorld one time.
Did you?
Yes, we did. And the Children's Museum in Indianapolis, the other one.
Oh, God, that was terrifying.
I lost mine at Sam's Club, if it makes you feel better. We had to shut the store down. Thought somebody stole her.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, the Children's Museum, that one she was in a mole.
And that was Eli.
Eli.
He was off digging, and I don't know why, but we just totally overlooked him. He was in some corner digging some foam blocks. It was like a Bob the Builder thing. I don't know. And so
and
we
at a
start
children's museum, that's exactly what he should be, right?
And so we're like looking around for him, and we start back away from like back towards where we had come, leaving the area that he was currently in, and he comes like running after us. Where are you going?
Oh.
I was like, oh no.
SeaWorld was terrifying, though,
Yeah.
because we walked in, right? And we went later in the afternoon, I think. And you walk in the gate, and there's just like a million people crammed right there. And we turned just to look over to see, like, okay, get our direction. Where are we going? And he was gone.
No, it was Zoe.
That was Zoe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Zoe
know.
was
They
gone.
blend together after a while.
This is so far ago, I can't remember what I did
She
yesterday.
went to look at some like a baby dolphin or a baby otter or something, and just she wasn't that far, but she had just like beelined and was gone so quick.
Well, and she's only like
she teamed.
Oh,
two
yeah.
and a half feet, 3
Yeah.
feet tall at that point, and everybody else, I'm short, so everybody's taller than me anyway. So
Yeah,
I'm
you poor
not
thing.
seeing. Yeah,
Now, you guys seem like a very organized couple to me, as far as people that I know in my life. When you take your kids, because you've been traveling since they were younger, when you take them, do you have like any sort of like contingency plans? Because like this lady at work, she was taking her family back home to Jordan, where she's from, for the last month, and I'm covering her job. And so we were talking about how she was transferring her planes in Egypt, which she was very upset about, because the Egypt airport is very big and very unorganized, and people are rude and not helpful. She's like, I hate that airport. So she takes her kids who are younger, and she's got like everything from like checklists set up for packing them up, and they don't check bags, so they have to like tightly roll everything into carry-ons. So they have this like strategy down, right? Because she's from Jordan, so she's very familiar. One thing she had, and I wonder if you guys had it, she has a special word that if she says that word, her kids had better stop what they're doing wherever they're doing it and get their butts back to their mom, like report to me right away. And she didn't share what the word was, but it's a very unique, right? Like not part of your conversation. Like she's so apparently edgy about traveling that she has a word that commands the kids.
Oh God, I wish.
Eve has a lot of lists, but we don't have words.
No, well, and when the kids were little, I did a lot of the packing, and then as they got older, I would give them lists, and they did their own packing because I was like, you know what your shorts and t-shirts look like. So here's and somebody got me a pad of like what to pack. And it's a whole list of all the things. So I just would highlight, you need this and you need this many of them. And you need this and you need this many of them. And you need, 10 pairs of underwear. And you would have to call that out for Eli because he didn't always remember.
You can't just wear one pair.
Yeah, underwear is important.
He
It's a
is
boy
Ryan's.
thing. It's a boy
He's
thing.
Ryan's son.
So
No, not in that way.
we had packing lists. But for the most part, I don't know if I just got a little looser, but once they were old enough that we were traveling more internationally with them, London was really the first one. We all went out to dinner. I sat everybody down. I handed them the London guidebook. And I was like, you need to write down all the things that you want to do. Go through this guidebook. If you see anything that looks cool, write it down. And so then I had a list of all the things that everybody wanted to do. Ryan wanted to stay in a castle. Zoe wanted to swim in the Olympic pool. Eli wanted to see the Arsenal stadium and maybe catch a soccer game. And so I made a list, and then I wrote like what days they were open and what times they were open, because sometimes they're closed on Mondays. And then who wanted to see him. So if it was all four of us, then I tried to prioritize getting to that thing. If it was, and I made sure that everybody had one special thing. That like Eli got to his soccer stadium, Zoe got to her swim meet, Brian got to his castle. I got to go to the Globe Theatre and the Tower of London. So, and then we just kind of, the night before or the morning of, we would look at the weather. We'd kind of figure out where we were, what can we hit that will cover all of this. So it was sort of organized, but not like, it was not planned out to the minute, because that stresses me out and I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's cool though. That's really cool.
I don't know. I'm seeing like Eve's retirement gig,
Me too.
like travel agent coordinator, something. Like,
Yes, please.
you could, and then you could like be the one that takes him on the tours, and then that's like a business expense that you could write off as.
I don't want to do tours. I want to be the one touring and podcasting about it. Or
Yeah. We're going to start a travel podcast. That's
Ooh,
what
that
we're going to
would be
do for our
fun.
retirement
There
gig.
you go.
Oh,
There you go.
and then somebody can pay for me to go to a place and
You wanna
tell
buy
them
my
all about
Yeti?
it.
Want to buy my Yeti?
Not right now.
we're gonna need that though if Joe doesn't, if she's traveling a lot this fall.
Well, I know. I'll just go over to your house and use your Yeti.
Okay.
All right. Where are we at? We're good?
Yeah, we're about to wrap it up. I think
I had a funny one.
Oh,
we'll have to
That's
save
okay.
that for next time.
We'll catch you soon, Joe.
Thank you.
Don't forget to check us out on social media. Instagram at Whiskey Fee.
Rye Guy Whiskey GR
Joe the Experience.
and ontherrocksproduction.com. Check out our website. Dee has it up. Dee and Joe have it up right now. So we will talk to you all soon.
All
Thank
right.
you.
See y'all later.
bye.